I'm going to get started here in a minute, but I first want to read something, and I want to thank uh, Lynetta Marshall, actually, who's on this call right now. I'd like to thank her for what I'm about to read to you. I have actually uh, have been taking Lynetta Marshall's uh, course uh, about the laws uh, of the universe. And I said in my podcast uh, last week or week before last that the laws of the universe is something we truly need to understand. And a lot of Christian or religious folk, they take that as, oh, you're worshiping the universe. And here's my challenge with that. My challenge with that is I've said it in previous sessions before that consciousness is God. Now, if you really want to argue with me on that, I highly encourage you to study the field of quantum physics. There are some really cool tools or resources out there. As you can tell, I'm slowing it down today for a reason. But there are some really cool resources that are very basic because you don't need to be a scientist. You don't need to be a quantum physicist in order to get the basics of quantum physics. It's actually really simple, profound, but really simple. And when you understand quantum physics, oh, let me give you the resources first. One book that really opened my eyes to this realm of quantum physics is a book called Happy Pocket Full of Money. Now, you may think from the title that that truly means that this book is about money. And the first chapter is, but it's talking about the vibration of money. But the rest of the book is explaining the basics of quantum mechanics in a very easy and understandable way, at least to me. You still got to read it a few times. The other resource is actually a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a really long time that I just watched today. And thank you to Lynetta Marshall for bringing it back up. But it's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And it's on Prime Video. You have to subscribe to the Gaia network. It's like $13.99 a month or whatever. It's not a plug for Gaia, but it is a plug for the movie, which is on Gaia. And it does a really great job of explaining quantum mechanics and God and the nature of God. And the more I learn about quantum mechanics, let me give you a very basic definition of quantum mechanics. It's just the study of reality. It's the study of the nature of reality. See, religionists will have you believe that to study science is to discount God. And I have truly tried my hardest over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks to end that argument that to study science is to discount God. But to truly understand science, to me, for those that have a hard time understanding the idea of God, studying science actually takes you closer to God. It's amazing to me how physicists and psychologists or scientists that were atheists start to study quantum mechanics, and at the end of their journey or during their journey, they find faith in God. Do you have any idea how many atheists have been converted to believers through quantum mechanics and quantum physics? Because it gets to a point in the science of quantum mechanics where you see the majesty of creation. We still will never fully understand it as human beings because our brains can't comprehend the enormity of it. But everything in this book, when you read it about you and you read it about the mind, and I subscribe to the esoteric interpretations personally. So when you hear me giving my lectures or messages or sermons or whatever you want to call them, my teachings, I'm giving you the esoteric interpretations, meaning the interpretations about the inner self. And I believe this entire book is about the inner self. And so I'm talking about it from that perspective. And when you truly do a lot of history of this book, 300 years before, during the 300 years where the doctrine and all that was being created, there were so many interpretations, and a lot of them being the esoteric, the deeper meaning of things, the deeper meanings behind the words and the deeper meanings behind the stories about the self that got pushed to the side as heresy, meaning not a part of the Roman doctrine. Doesn't mean it was wrong. It just means it wasn't accepted in the Roman doctrine. So whatever the intellectuals didn't accept, they called it heresy. And so a lot of the doctrines or the theologies or the thinking process around Jesus and all this, a lot of it was esoteric. And so when I study the esoteric interpretations, and then now today with all the technologies that we have, with quantum mechanics and everything we know about psychology and the human belief system and everything we know about the nature of thought, and all of this combined gives a much clearer picture of who and what God is. And then the more I begin to study Jesus from that point of view and his words, it makes me fall in love with him even more. But I'm going to be so honest. I had to get rid of the Roman Catholics' definition or image of God in order for me to fully accept these incredible understandings. I had to get rid of the God that was pushed on me by religion through my family and society. I hope that makes sense. Give me a heart or a fire emoji or a thumbs up if y'all following this. And so my intention when I'm doing these is to bring people who have either yet to find God or refuse God back to God. Because ultimately, until you come back to God, you'll never know really who you are. You'll never know where you're truly from. Until you come back to God, you'll never know what you're really capable of. Until you come back to God, you'll never know where you're going. And until you come back to God, you'll never really truly understand why you are here. And I get it. Religion has fucked so many people over because of all the atrocities that have been done in the name of organized religion. And the biggest tragedy to me in that, because it's also my experience, is because of our perception of organized religion. I'll talk for me. I'll speak for me. Because of my perception of organized religion, I have gone so long without knowing God, which means I've gone so long without truly knowing me. And so I remember getting on my knees one day, and I was by myself. And I said, God, please show me you. Show me the real you. Reveal yourself to me. Not what everybody else says, not what organized religion says. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed, I don't know. Please reveal yourself to me. And I want to share with you, if that's okay, give me a thumbs up. I want to share with you the conversation I had with God that day. This is really personal to me, but I also know it's not written for me. And if you will indulge me, while I read this, I want you to listen to it about you. And so I was sitting at my desk, and I just felt this wave of emotion come over me. And I heard this voice say, take out a pen and write. Not write like I was creating what was being said, but write as if I was dictating, that I was actually channeling. And let me be very clear. There aren't special people in the world that can channel. Every single human being on the planet can channel. You all are channelers because you all have direct access to the infinite source consciousness, God. And this was the message that Jesus was trying to bring. Well, he even trying, he did. But this was the point that he was trying to get across. And the people that were stuck in organized religion and tied to their posts and tied to their titles, they couldn't see it. So instead of flaming the fire and really getting in it for themselves, they squashed it. So I don't want you to think that somebody else can channel and you can't. The only difference between those that channel and those that don't is that the ones that channel are open to it. You have direct communication with God, and all you got to do is ask. It talks about that Genesis talks about Adam and Eve being in the garden with God, and that Adam would just have direct conversations with God. And there was no priests involved. There was no rituals involved. It was just Adam and God. And of course, from an esoteric interpretation, it is a metaphor for the direct access that you have. It is to illustrate the direct cell phone connection you got. And you don't even need a device. Let me be very clear. You don't need a device. It's almost like as if, because this is probably where they're headed with technology, but eventually we won't need these anymore. It will just be a chip. The communication device inside of you that neurologically, neuropathically, however you say it, you'll be able to, with your, through neural networks, be able to just call somebody or see the internet. They're going there. But technology is truly a direct reflection of our ability as gods with small g's. I'll get to that in a minute. Y'all still with me? So I want to read what I wrote. And again, I want you to listen to this about you. And so I'm sitting down and I felt this overwhelm of emotion, and I hear this voice, not outside of me, but inside of me. I hear this voice say, grab a pen and dictate. And this is what came out. I am the creator of everything. My image is formless, for I am connected to everything, because I am everything. I want you to translate my voice. It is finally nice to meet you. I have been with you always, and you had a deep belief that I am, but that belief would waver because you weren't 100% sure. You would only hear my echoes because you did not yet ask me to reveal myself to you directly. you had not yet said, Father, show me you. I want to meet you directly. I know that you exist. And now I want to come home to you and know you and build a relationship with you. I want to understand who you are 100% so that I can know who I am. It is only then, my child, that I can reveal myself to you so plainly and direct. I am, and I have always been. And I desire to know myself. So I created you. And in order to know myself, I created many versions of myself, beginning with Adam, the first. And I used the first to create the second. And then I used the first and second to create the third. And then the fourth, and then the fifth, and so on and so forth, until after a while, until after a while, all of those other versions began to meet one another and multiply. And before long, exploded into more than 8 billion versions of myself. But in order for me to know myself, I had to make every one of myself, you, forget that I am. Forget about me. So that they would have the free will, the freedom to do whatever they wanted and desired without my influence to start. But the desire to know me would be buried deep down inside of them. And the more they concentrate on that feeling, the more and more I would reveal myself to them until finally they asked me directly. And then boom, there I am. Some seek that feeling more than others. Some choose not to seek it at all. But even then, although they do not seek it out, they can still feel that deep longing buried deep down inside themselves. This is why I do not punish with fiery flames and damnation. What will be the purpose of that? It would totally defeat my purpose, which is to know myself wholly. I am objective to it all. It is all neutral because I am learning about who I am through you. This means I am you and you are me. This is what it means to be awake. You know me as well as I know you, and we are the same. And now that you are awake, it is your choice now if you want to help others wake up. Now that you are awake, it is your choice if you want to help in waking up all the other versions of you, us. They are you as you are them, and you are all me. I say choose only because even though you are awake, you still have the free will to do what you like to do with this knowledge, because it all serves my purpose. It is all still me learning and knowing myself, and this will go on forever. I am always balanced. For there are as many so-called good people as there are what you call bad or evil people. I am forever in balance. Positive and negative equals out. But I do not call it positive or negative, bad or good. To me, it all just is. But in order for you to comprehend, I use the terms positive and negative, good versus evil, hence the law of polarity, and everything having its equal opposite. This is what I mean by it is good. It is good because it serves my ultimate purpose, which is to know myself. You are my child, and you are me. This is what Jesus meant by I and my Father are one. He was perfectly awake, and is why he was willing to sacrifice himself in order to inspire all the others who followed him to begin to seek me, you, themselves out. This is why he taught to get to know me, the Father, through him. He wanted you to study his teachings so that the desire to know me would build more and more until you ask me directly, and then you become perfectly awake as well. Because you sought him out to learn, you found me, which means you found yourself. For I am you, you are Jesus, Jesus is me, and we are one. Now you get to choose to share this message or not. Even if you choose not to, know that it is okay, and I love you, because it's all a part of my plan. That message came to me right before my birthday last year. And it has been the driving force for everything I've been sharing lately. Because now that I got a chance to meet the God in me, there's nothing else I want to teach other than teaching my brothers and sisters like you watching this video how to meet the God in you. It's the same God. It's the same source. But the level of relaxation that comes with meeting that God in you creates a completely different experience of life. And so this is why I study Jesus so deeply now. I don't study him as just some divine figure that is so far removed from me that it's something I'd never attain. That's not true. And that wasn't Jesus's words. Last week, I talked about John 10:10, which reads, "The thief in the night comes only to steal and kill and destroy. But I have come so that you may have life and have it more abundantly." And he wasn't talking about just living longer, but he was talking about a richer, fuller life based on your higher awareness and being able to tap into your divine self. He came to teach us our real potential, our real divine potential, and to separate us from our lower selves, the petty selves, the ego self, the self that creates all the turmoil that we experience. You know, really blew my mind when I first read Psalm 82:6, which says, I say ye are gods, but it's with a small g. And I remember when I first started to understand creation, it's the first time I understood that passage. Notice it doesn't say ye are gods with a big G, because the big G is the creator of all things. The big G is consciousness itself. The big G is the creator, and we are the created. But then when you take that and you match it with Genesis 1:26, let us create man in our image. And it's so funny because it says us, but it says, let us create man in our own image. That makes you the sons and daughters of the Most High. It is not reserved for one person. The argument that Jesus was the only Son of God is completely that argument is destroyed by Genesis 1:26 alone. You are the sons and daughter of God. You're just small G's. And so when the people were to stone Jesus for talking about he and his father are one, first of all, they didn't understand consciousness or quantum mechanics back then. So they really couldn't understand that statement, and fucking Jesus spoke in parables. But he said, why are you coming to stone me? I think this is John chapter 10, I believe, verses 34 through 36. But he says, why are you coming to stone me? And he says, because of the works that I do. And they said, no, it's not the works that you do. It's that you claim to be God. But Jesus wasn't talking about big G. He's talking about small g. And so he answered them. He says, is it not written in your law, I have said you are gods? If he called them gods to whom the word of God came, and the scripture cannot be set aside, then what about the one whom the Father set apart as his holy servant and sent into the world? Why then do you accuse me of blasphemy because I said I am God's son? And they couldn't get it. But when we talk about small g, I'm talking about the divine spark within you. I'm talking about the unity with the divine, and that the line between you and the divine is just an illusion. because you're made up of all the same cosmic stuff. I'm talking about little g, meaning your potential for co-creation. This is why I appreciate people like Lynetta Marshall who are out here teaching the laws. Because when you understand the laws, then you understand your role in co-creation. When you understand the laws, then you understand why your thoughts and beliefs and actions and all of that are so important. When we're talking about the small g, we're talking about responsibility and sovereignty. And owning that divinity means that you get to step up and make wiser choices. When we talk about the small g, I'm talking about spiritual liberation. The ultimate goal is to break free from all the small stuff and fully embody your divine self. When I talk about the small g, I'm talking about transcending the religious dogma and knocking down the walls that say divinity is only for the chosen few, because it's for everybody. And it is in recognizing that you get to experience the kingdom of heaven right here and right now. Where you're not waiting for peace to find you, but you are peace. Where you're not worried about tomorrow, but you are present now. When you realize you're connected to everything, and so then everything becomes beautiful. And when you recognize that you're connected to everything and that everything is beautiful, and you're in the present moment and you're living in peace, then showing love and being kind daily it takes no effort. When you get to experience the majesty of creating, co-creating your reality, and it is really important that we put that term co in there. When I get to the message about worry, I'm really going to go in on this co-creator thing, but it's really important that you put the co-creator part in there. Because truly, we do nothing. I give thanks to God for all of you that are watching right now, because I couldn't make you watch. Only God can spark the inspiration in you to watch this channel right now. All I get to do is be obedient, and because I said I wanted to serve, so all I get to do is be obedient and show up every Wednesday at 5:30. But who shows up or who watches the replay on YouTube, that's not up to me. That's God. So the 22 views that the last video got, or the 3 views at the other, I'm grateful for all of it, because I didn't do any of that. God did it. But I told God I wanted to build a ministry so that I could teach my brothers and sisters, and God said, hold my beer. So it is recognizing yourself as a small g that you get to experience the kingdom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is what creates joy. Because as we talked about last week, joy is more than just fleeting happiness. Joy is more than pleasure. But joy is a deep, good feeling deep down inside of you that sticks around no matter what's happening outside of you. No matter whether things are perfect or not. And to be honest, when you truly understand everything that I've been teaching, you recognize that everything is always perfect because everything is always working in your favor. The challenge with recognizing that everything is always working in your favor is that you have some logs in your eye. You have some logs in your eye that keeps you from seeing that you are co-creating everything you experience anyway. You can't not co-create. I'm going to repeat that. You can't not co-create. I know that's probably not proper English, but you cannot not co-create. Are y'all getting that? Give me a thumbs up if you got that, because I feel like I want to repeat that like a million more times. You cannot not co-create. It is all you are ever doing. Which is why one of Jesus's main core missions was to liberate us as individuals from negative mindsets. Because a negative mindset is the thief of joy. Or one of the thieves. There's another one, and that's next week. But negative mindsets, a negative mentality, is robbing you of experiencing heaven right now. This is why Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Which means that our words, our thoughts, brings the good and the bad into our lives. And again, some people don't need to understand the mechanics of that. They don't need to understand, well, how do thoughts create? Some people have blind faith, and I respect you so much. Those of you that have blind faith. But some of us left-brain people, we need to understand the mechanics of it for us to fully grasp it. And I'm one of those left-brain people, which is why I'm very technical when I teach. So to the left-brain people watching, to truly understand that life and death is in the power of the tongue, you have to understand how your mind works. Right? It's a negative mindset, which means it's a mind set on negatives. So to truly understand that scripture, you've got to understand the belief system. You got to understand the firing and wiring of your thoughts, and how your thoughts are tied to beliefs, and how these things create the cycle. That's why I created my company, Belief Theory. Because when you truly understand that your beliefs create the thoughts that you have, the ones you dwell on, which then creates the emotion that you feel, which then fuels the action that you take, that then gives you the result. That result always reaffirms what you believed in the first place. So because again, in Genesis 1:26, he said, let us create man in our image and likeness and character and give them dominion, which means give you the power to create life and death in your life through your tongue, through your belief system. And some of you have a mind set on negative beliefs. Like some of you watching believe that everything will go wrong. And so you expect failure and rejection. Some of you watching believe that you are a victim. And you think you have no control of what happens to you. And some of you believe that your success is for others and not you. And so you play this zero-sum game where some people win and some people lose. And you consider yourself one of those people who lose. Some of you believe that you don't deserve good things. And because you believe that you don't deserve good things, you sabotage your own success. Because if I believe that I don't deserve good things, then I think things like, it'll never work out. I'll never get that job. Nobody wants to hear me sing. Nobody cares about my paintings. Nobody wants to hear me speak, which creates feelings of unworthiness and guilt, which then fuels you to do nothing, which then reaffirms the belief that you don't deserve good things. Can you see it? Some of you expect to be disappointed. And you believe that your happiness or your success is just temporary and will soon end. Some of your minds are so set that you resist change. And you think that changing your situation is dangerous or pointless. So you stick to the status quo because you feel safe where you are. Nothing unexpected. You can't be disappointed when you don't expect nothing new, when you don't change nothing. Some of you expect the worst from other people. And you think that the world is out to get you and that everybody's waiting to betray you. Some of you can't even see your own successes because you're so busy meditating on your mistakes and demand so much perfection from yourself, you give yourself no grace. Some of you, including me, rely too much on what other people think. And we dismiss our own achievements unless other people acknowledge them. Forget my own trophy case. I used to only count the trophies that everybody else put in my case. And the ones that were just for me didn't count. Some of you are scared to be happy. You avoid happiness because you think it'll make you vulnerable. So you're always on guard, living out of fear. Some of you truly believe that life is just fundamentally unfair. And so you accept conflict and unfairness as normal and unavoidable. Some of you believe that you feel entitled and think that it's all predetermined. And so either you expect things to be handed to you without effort, or you believe that you can't change anything. Some of you blow things so much out of proportion that you magnify the details and spread the doom and gloom to everybody. Can you see look what they did to me? Somebody cut you off in traffic, and now you're going to tell 5 or 6 or 7, 8 other people why you're unhappy and disappointed, and the world is out to get you, and you blow it all out of proportion. Some of you are convinced that you can't change. That a tiger always has its stripes, or leopards always have their spots. Side note, this is why I believe a lot of the stories of healing and the lepers and all that, yes, physically, those things could have happened, but I also believe in them metaphorically, an analogy. That healing the blind is not just somebody physically, but someone who couldn't see themselves, who couldn't see the goodness in life. Healing the sick, meaning someone who was depressed. Raising the dead, meaning someone who was just so down and out on life, they wouldn't even try no more. Helping the crippled, someone who had such a negative mindset, or healing the crippled, someone who has such a negative mindset. All of these things are not just physical, historical things, but also metaphors for everything that's happening right now. That's why it's the living word. It's living because these things happen every single day in every one of your lives. And all the guidance is right here. Some of you believe that you deserve to suffer. So you're too hard on yourself and you doubt every decision you make. Some of you don't think that any of this will make a difference. Anything you do. So your actions are insignificant. Some of you take on too much and you believe it's your job to fix other people's problems and ignore your own needs. All of this negative mindset creates emotional chaos, making you feel like you're in your own personal hell. All of this negative mindset creates a mental weight that makes you feel like you're dark, like it's dark and it's hopeless. All of this negative thinking creates health problems and makes your body sick and causes dis-ease in your body and got you always feeling miserable. All of this negative mindset ruins your relationships and forces you to push people away and make you feel isolated. All of this negative thinking causes you to miss wonderful chances, wonderful opportunities, and traps you into a cycle of regret and this loop of negativity. All of this negative thinking skews your worldview and makes the world seem hostile. And so you're always looking for threats and problems. All of this negative thinking has you lost spiritually. And so it cuts you off from your divine self, leaving you feeling empty and without purpose. And when you lose this, life can feel pointless, like you're floating around in hell. This is why in Philippians 4:8, it says that Jesus advises us to think on things that are true and noble and right and pure and lovely and admirable. This is why you have to develop a growth mindset. Why you have to understand that everything is temporary. Why you have to learn to control your reactions. Why it's so important for you to find God. Go look for God on your own, but you don't have to go anywhere. You don't even have to go to a church. You just need to sit down in a meditative state or get on your knees and say, Father, please show me you so that I can know me. This is why you want to assume positive intentions and assume that everything is out to do you good. This is why you have to create an abundant mentality. This is why you have to create a mentality of gratitude. And this is why you have to be flexible in your beliefs. Because you are either A, creating heaven right here on earth as God with a small g, and experiencing all the joy you can muster, or you're creating hell right here on earth as God with a small g, experiencing all the miserable, horrible things that you could possibly experience over and over and over and over and over and over. And isn't that the metaphor or the point that they try to tell us hell is you committing the same sins over and over and over, the same over and over and over again, and just getting tormented? Aren't you experiencing that right now? This is why Jesus said repent, which means to change your mind, which means to focus on the good, the lovely, the right, the pure, the admirable. See yourself as God with the small g. Connect to the divine. Why? So that you can get out of hell and experience heaven for yourself. Right here, right now. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve joy. You deserve peace. I want to read to you as I close a mantra that I created for myself to say every morning and every night, and even multiple times a day, to remind myself of the goodness of God in me. Father God, your goodness flows through me every day. I am deeply grateful for your boundless love, wisdom, and blessing. I surrender to your divine will, trusting in your guidance and wisdom. I declare and decree that my life reflects your abundant grace and insight. And with love, joy, and thanksgiving, I praise you for your endless abundance and the light you shine on my life. I embrace your wisdom and I surrender fully to your perfect love, knowing that I am a living expression of your goodness and purpose. I love you. And once again, thank you for being here. I hope that you'll take this message and begin to truly challenge your belief system Get down on your knees, close your eyes, and ask God to reveal himself directly to you. And just pay attention, because he will answer. Have a good night.